words he said, do all you can with what you have, in the time you have, in the place you are, do all you can. Do all you can with what you have, in the time you have, in the place you are, do all you can. Do all you can. Holy Mother from India, helping the sick and the poor. Somebody asked, why do you do these things? She said, this is what I came here for. She said, do all you can with what you have, in the time you have, in the place you are, do all you can. Do all you can with what you have, in the time you have, in the place you are, do all you can. Do all you can. This is a gift they gave to us to share wherever we go. Be the change you wish to see in this world. Now I understand what they wanted us to know. You can do all you can with what you have, in the time you have, in the place you are, do all you can. Do all you can with what you have, in the time you have, in the place you are, do all you can. Do all you can. One little boy in Africa, do all you can. Holy Mother from India, you wish to see in the world, do all you can.
Good morning. Buenos dias. Bienvenidos and welcome to Unity of Syracuse video love stream. We're so glad you're here this morning. My name is Maria Isabel Gonzalez, and I have the pleasure of being your platform assistant for today. Thanks for joining us. Out of caution, all of our services are online only for the month of January, but our love stream of our Sunday offering is always available on YouTube. Please make sure you hit that like button below the video and subscribe to stay connected with our ministry. The order of service is listed in the description box below, along with other useful hints. And now for today's daily word. The daily word for today, Sunday, January 30th, 2022, is world peace. I envision all people living in harmony. Sometimes I wonder about my place in a world that is changing so rapidly. I realize that many of the world's people may be wondering the same thing too. Change can feel scary, especially when I feel as though I have to navigate a shifting landscape alone. I expand my awareness and wonder whether others are feeling the way I do. Feeling fearful or insecure can overwhelm feelings of peace. As peace seems further and further away, it's easy to drift into isolation and discord. I pray, reclaiming peace by feeling my divine identity as a child of God. I remember that all people share this divine identity. I include all the world's people in my prayer, envisioning us coming together in harmony to create a peaceful world. Pursue peace with everyone and the holiness without which no one will see the Lord. Hebrews 12:14. Now, I've always told you my age, so my telling you that being a hippie should come of no surprise. And every time that there was a protest, I was there, and marching and chanting. And when I read the Daily Word today, I thought, well, this just fits right in, because we had a song that we would sing at every single rally. And I won't sing it to you, but hear the lyrics, and you'll see why this one just popped out. It's by Simon and Garfunkel. Last night, I had the strangest dream I've ever dreamed before. I dreamed the world had all agreed to put an end to war. I dreamed I saw a mighty room, and the room was filled with men and women. And the paper they were signing said they'd never fight again. And when the papers were all signed and 1 million copies made, they all joined hands and bowed their heads, and grateful prayer was prayed. And the people in the streets below were dancing round and round as guns and swords and uniforms were scattered on the ground. Thank you, Simon and Garfunkel. And now for our announcements. We have a weekly email bulletin and a website calendar listing our ongoing events. Here are the highlights for this week. Thank you to all who attended our town hall last Sunday. The replay video of the meeting, along with written minutes, are posted in our weekly bulletin. There's also a link to a survey form to give feedback about how we're doing and what directions we may take here in the new year. Please let us know your thoughts. A Course in Miracles book study group has started meeting online on 2nd and 4th Wednesdays from 6:30 to 7:45 p.m. Meetings are ongoing, and you're welcome to drop in anytime you are able to join. Please contact Donna or Teresa, phone and email address listed online. Syracuse University's 37th annual Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration visual event, we're all part of the dream, is this evening, January 30th at 7 p.m. The keynote address is by Martin Luther King III, eldest son of Martin Luther King Jr. Register online. I know I'm not going to miss it. And now we come to the greeting of our neighbors. We give thanks to all beings whose weaving together allows us to be here today, blessed with health and equipped to connect electronically. We pause to attune ourselves in our hearts, knowing that though we are separated in body, we are united in spirit. Just take a deep breath, and I see everyone here, shaking hands, smiling and greeting each other. Share your greetings by saying hello in the chat box. Now, normally we would have guests, because unity is a positive, practical approach to Christianity. We are culturally Christian and spiritually unlimited. We honor the many paths to God. Anyone visiting us for the first time? Hello. We'd love to get to know you. Please phone into the office, send us an email, or join us in our virtual coffee hour after service. The link is there in the description box. And now for our statement of being. God is all, both visible and invisible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am an individualized expression of God. I am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. And now for our 5 basic principles. Unity's 5 basic principles are our guideposts, tested by experience, reminding us how divine presence unfolds through our lives. 1, God is the source and creator of all. God is good and present everywhere. 2, we are spiritual beings created in God's image. 3, we create our life experiences through our way of thinking. 4, there is power in affirmative prayer. 5, we live these spiritual principles. When we are in person, we ask for testimonials from those who have seen these principles working in their lives throughout the week. If you have such a brief story, share it in the chat box or email us. Now, I know that those who live nearby know how much snow and ice we experience in Syracuse and CNY. And I live alone, and I don't have anyone that will come and shovel or clear the pathway, or I thought I had someone. And that didn't fall through until just when there were 3 inches of snow and ice underneath. And I thought, I'd better make sure that these are strong prayers, because for 3 days I couldn't get out of the house. And by the third day, it just dawned on me, I have resources. And one last person that I called said, I'll be there in 3 hours. 3 hours later, not only did he plow my driveway and get rid of all the ice and the snow, but he cleared a path to my doorway and put down ice melt so that I wouldn't fall. So those prayers were answered, maybe not the first day of the snowfall or the second day, but certainly by the third day. And since I had enough groceries and enough stuff in the house to last me for at least a month, it seemed like, yeah, affirmative prayer. So that's my testimonial. At this time, we bless all prayer intentions and requests. If you hold your prayer in your heart, know that it is already answered. Remember that our Unity Village at Silent Unity Service has been holding prayer vigil for over 130 continuous years. You can reach them day or night by calling 1-800-NOW-PRAY, and a chaplain will pray with you. And we have some music. And now for today's speaker, Cybie Mauro. Yes.
Good morning. Let's begin with just a little centering prayer, please. So we just take a moment to honor this sacred moment right where we are. For we know that all moments are sacred. For the presence and the power of the Christ within blesses each and every individual and is present everywhere in the created world. And so we open our minds and our hearts this day. We open our hearts to love's presence. And we open our minds so that the power of love can wash through our thoughts and bring us only thoughts of goodness and God, creation in all its glory. And may we live moment by moment in loving presence and inner peace. And so it is. Amen. Okay. So this morning, I'm going to start in remembrance of a very dear friend and mentor, and who was a minister of this church, transitional minister several years ago, Reverend Leroy. He made his passing, as was announced last week. He passed, made his transition last Sunday. And so, Leroy, this is for you. Good morning, Syracuse! And that's the way he started every service that he had over the years at Unity of Syracuse. So it's my honor and privilege to be speaking this morning. And wow, it's different. The last time I spoke, there were lots of people here, and now we're back to this shutdown in the church, and yet Maria's sitting here, and Jacob and Tommy, so thank you so much for being here. And I know that the three of you hold that energy of the whole congregation, so thank you for being here. So almost 2 years ago, I had the challenge of being the one to talk on that first Sunday after the pandemic shutdown. The talk that I gave was titled Navigating the Twilight Zone. And who would have thought at that time that we would still be wending our way through such unprecedented times? But after 22 months of experiencing an uncertain, changing, shifting landscape, it feels at times that we are unmoored and still adrift in the twilight zone. Twilight. That time in which there isn't enough light to see clearly around one and not very far in the distance. And that certainly is an apt description of this day-by-day journey that we have had for these past 2 years. Our future even as near as tomorrow, is definitely not clear. And yet, it is a future we create, moment by present moment. In December, I watched Unity of Houston's Blue Christmas Ceremony, and I watch Reverend Gott on YouTube. I think he's just a wonderful, inspirational Unity speaker. He's funny, he's poignant, he is so Unity, and he's pretty good looking too. So, and he used to be a nightclub singer, so when he sings, it's a treat. So anyway, he did this ceremony called the Blue Christmas Ceremony, and traditionally there is a ceremony in Unity, I believe, that in December honors those that have passed in the past year. And so in his ceremony, he had 5 candles, and he had each candle he would name and then call up people who related to what he was naming, and then they would light the candle and sit back down. So the first candle was for remembering those that had passed in the previous year. And then the second candle was for anyone suffering from illness. And the third was for loss of relationship. The fourth was for feelings of isolation or loneliness. And as people came forth, they would eventually light the candle, and Reverend Gott would say words, affirmative prayers, blessing them and bringing them comfort. The people would sit down, and the 5th candle, he said, was for mental health issues or challenges like anxiety and depression. And one by one, almost every person in the congregation came forward. And that really touched me. It touched my own sense of grief that had been bottled up inside me. And as I watched the people come forward and heard his words, blessing those people, I sobbed. We are all, it seems, suffering grief over conditions in our personal lives, our communities, our country, the world, and the life of the planet. So what do we do so that we don't dwell in those feelings that arise when conditions are challenging? How do we regain some sense of footing in this world that bombards us, overwhelms us with gloom and doom and uncertainty? There is a way. And right now it's offered today through my speaking through the Serenity Prayer. The Serenity Prayer is familiar to many of us. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, living one day at a time, one moment at a time. This is a key to not letting life's situations overwhelm and disempower us. In essence, the Serenity Prayer tells us not to waste our energy on what we cannot control and to focus on what we can control. We can choose what is life-affirming, soul-nourishing, and dedicate our efforts toward the highest good for all. Then, in essence, we are doing our part to uplift not only ourselves, but the whole. So what do we have control over? We all know that we can only exercise control over ourselves, and that comes down to our choices moment by moment. The choices that we make, our thoughts, our attitudes, our focus, how we spend our time, money, and energy, and the choice to tap into our power of faith, moment by moment. Our faith that there is something greater than the external outer appearance of things. Faith in that one presence and one power we call God, the eternal and infinite source from which everything has come and will eventually return. For the past 2 years, if we have learned anything, it is to live in the moment. Oh, we make our plans, and yet, with an uncertain future, we must proceed without attachment to outcome. We have been forced to live moment to moment. And when we accept that everything changes, we suffer less. And the truth is, you are resilient. You can handle everything that comes along. And how do I know this? Because you're still here. There is nothing you have encountered that you have not come through and out the other side. And hopefully you have grown through it, not just gone through it. So there's the story of King Solomon's ring, the legend in which he has asked his counselors to come up with an inscription, a saying that would, if someone looked at it, it would bring them more comfort in challenging times, and also to remind them. I can't even remember the other part, but his counselors come up with the saying, "This too shall pass." And so I just wanted to mention that as we focus and think about this too shall pass, it is not just referring to the bad times, it's referring to the good times. It's referring to every experience that comes up in our lives. And so as we focus on this too shall pass, whatever we're going through that is challenging or negative, knowing that it will pass helps us suffer less as we go through it. But the other side of the coin is when we're experiencing joy and happiness and we see things that bring us delight, knowing this too shall pass heightens and helps us to appreciate what is in the moment that is joyful. And so it's just a beautiful reminder. The Stoics used to practice that. Looking at a child, they might think of what their life would be like if the child were no longer there, and that would make them appreciate the child in the present. So we can do that practice too. What is it there in our lives that we have that if it weren't there, our life wouldn't be as rich and sweet? And so we can start to focus on those things that we have and not the things that we no longer have. St. Teresa of Avila said, "Let nothing disturb thee, nothing affright thee. All things are passing. God never changes." So recently I've come to navigate through difficulty with the guidance of a practice expressed in 3 words: grief, grounding, and gratitude. They were inspired by Michael Dowd in his post-doom conversations that I had listened to. I think all 3 practices can be summed up in one question that I can keep in the forefront of my mind. What is true in this moment? So first, I need to acknowledge all that is going on within me in this moment. Whatever negative emotion is, I believe that it all boils down to grief. Remember, I'm speaking now about dealing with difficult emotions. And yet I dare say we need to acknowledge the joyful moments as well. Really pause and feel them. Anchor them within. Just recently, I had to babysit for my 2-month-old granddaughter. And I had the opportunity of sitting with her and with her in my arms, and she was fed and yet she was awake and she was just content. And we just stared into each other's eyes. And in that moment, I truly went to a place where I knew that God was present, and I just could feel my heart opening. And it was truly a binding moment, not for the 2 of us, but to a greater sense of oneness that I felt. And when I am faced with loss or disappointment, worry or fear, whatever is the truth in the moment that I am experiencing, it is necessary to acknowledge it and feel it. If I just go to affirmations. I am spiritually bypassing something that still stays within me. In order for difficult feelings and emotions to be processed, they need to be acknowledged, and then there is a space around them where they can loosen and lose their grip on us. So this past week, the Vietnamese Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh passed over from this world. His teachings of mindfulness, of using breath to bring one into the present moment, have brought serenity and peace to many. He says, when you breathe in and bring yourself home to the body, you are in the present moment. When painful sensations or emotions arise in the present, we try to run away, he says. We try to push the feelings away by doing things to keep us distracted from actually feeling them. But he says that staying with the breath in the body, you become the witness, and therefore you are not swept away by your emotions. Sit and witness and hold yourself with compassion like a mother would hold a hurting child. When he passed, I was saddened to see that, on news there was nothing acknowledging his passing, and it's just, in my world it was big, and in the larger world it was Meatloaf that we focused on, who was passing. So pop culture, but I think Thich Nhat Hanh taught pop culture, power of presence. So there you go, pop. Anyway, compassion. Have compassion for yourself and your feelings. Hold yourself like a mother would hold a hurting child. I heard a definition just recently of compassion. Compassion is love meeting pain. That's beautiful. And we know love is the highest vibration there is. When we slow down and ground ourselves in the present moment and focus on love in our heart, we are participating in not only healing our own difficult thoughts and emotions, but we are sending out a vibration that helps to heal the world. So once we have felt our feelings within ourselves and our bodies, the next thing is grounding. And again, go back to the question, what is true in this moment? Well, grounding, it means to be centered, calm, stable, in a state of equanimity, connected to what's life-affirming, not spinning off into our stories and imaginings. Focusing on the breath brings me back to the present moment, where I can explore that question, what is true in this moment? And when I get still, I am aware that life is happening in and through me. Without any commentary, without any judgment, just feeling the life presence. I can feel it in my pulse, my moving breath, and I can relax into the presence of that impulse that is animating me now. So I let go. I let God. I trust. I have faith that under all experiences, there is a constant flow of life. I ground myself in a truth that is more real than any stories I tell myself. Alfred Lord Tennyson tells us in the famous line from his poem, "Closer is God than breathing, nearer than hands and feet." Indeed, this is where we meet the Christ within. In the stillness, in the heart, in the breath, in the present moment. And when grounded and centered in the flow of life, I then can find gratitude. Gratitude for all that is mine through grace. All the blessings that are so abundant. Looking at what I have, not what I don't have. And here's where you can take out your pen and paper and make your mina list of words. And this will go on forever. There is so much to be grateful for. My sight, my ability to move, my body's ability to heal, nature. Oh, there's so much in nature. There is so much in this moment to find gratitude for. Let the gratitude overflow into blessing all around you. Brother David Stendel-Rest says that at the end of his YouTube video called Gratefulness. That's an assignment. Look up on YouTube, Gratefulness, and then just put in David after it, and it'll come up. It is a beautiful 5-minute little video on gratitude that will open your heart. I'd like to give you an example of this process, how it works in someone's life. And so years ago when I was in yoga teacher training, I befriended one of my fellow students, Pamela. She was a little bit older than I at the time, and still is, obviously. And she had just lost her husband a year before that. And one night we talked, and she told me the story that they had had a wonderful marriage, and they were very creative people, artistic people, and they had this vision of a business. And so they, at one point in their life, they created this business together, and it grew and it got established. And they were at the point of knowing that in a couple of years they could sell their business and have enough money from that sale to be comfortable into retirement. And they would fantasize about what they would do, because they were close to that time, what they would do in retirement. And then her husband was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And so Pamela shared with me that she went into a state of deep depression as his condition worsened, and she was his caregiver. She was just lamenting at every juncture that what was lost, what they no longer had, the future that would never come to be. And she said, and so one day she was sitting and just contemplating, and an image came to mind, and it was an image of her in a canoe, and she was paddling. But she was paddling for all she was worth, because she was paddling upstream against the current. And so in her mind, she just lifted that paddle out of the water, and the canoe turned around and went downstream. And from that moment on, she felt her grief. She felt her loss. And yet, when she lifted that paddle out of the water, she saw what was true in the moment, what was still there. And she realized that her husband was still alive, and she was wasting whatever time they had together on lamenting an unmanifested future. And so what she did at that time, she sold the business herself, and she became his caretaker. And they did wonderful things. She just used the time to be completely with him and love him just as he was, because he still was the person that she knew. And so it was a beautiful story of how she felt the grief. She grounded herself in what was still true, and then she went on to heal that with great gratitude and joy. This December, I have a friend who was hit by a car, and so it was a very serious accident. And it was a rainy night in Syracuse, and she was running across Salina Street, and was hit by a car going about 30 miles an hour. And of course, she was in the hospital. She had head trauma, and of course, she would feel the grief of what was lost. She would be in the hospital for the next 2 months. She would not be able to go home for Christmas. And with the way the hospitals are, she couldn't have her family just coming and being there all the time. 1 visitor per day. And if they came for 5 minutes, that was the only person she could see. And so there were all these things. She had lost her mobility. She had extremely, she broke her pelvis and her tibia, and it was just a really difficult trauma to the body. And yet, when there was a stopping and saying, what's still true in this moment? You're still alive. You're still alive. Your pulse is still beating, your heart's still beating, your breath, your body is doing everything it can to heal this condition. And so once she had to feel her feelings of loss and grief, grounded herself in what was present and true, which was she was in the best hospital, probably in the Northeast, for this experience. And she was gratefully, her head trauma did not seem to do any damage to her brain. And so looking at what was could bring her to a place where she could then be more cooperative with the body's urge to heal and the medical people's healing of that situation as well. So it was a beautiful experience to witness. And just yesterday, she took her first step since December 6th. She was able to put weight on one of her legs, and so what a beautiful story about being present moment by moment, allowing the presence that is in the moment to orchestrate the healing. Thich Nhat Hanh tells us that in every moment, all the conditions for happiness are present. Really? Well, he said, enjoy what is going on in the here and now. And he does it in his little sweet voice. The blue sky, the beautiful trees, the fresh air. When we are caught in thought, especially worry or fear, he says, we are not able to enjoy all of life, the life that is going on in the present moment. He tells us that in every now moment, all the conditions for happiness are present if we become present to it. So I would like to end my talk with an experience of breathing and being present. And so I'm going to just take us through an experience of breathing, and then it will finish with a musical meditation of Karen Drucker's and finish out my talk. So wherever you're sitting, whatever you're doing, just take a moment to really come to the present moment. And do that by focusing on your breath. Just begin to feel the breath, the flow of breath. Feel the breath as movement in the body. Just notice how the body moves with the breath. Connect to your body. Let the breath sweep through all emotions. Send the breath into any areas where you feel anything that's tight or tense. And let the breath warm and soften those areas. Let your shoulders relax. Take a nice deep breath in. And when you let that breath out, just feel yourself settling down. Let the breath relax all sensations. Begin to start to feel the aliveness in your body. See if you can sense the beating of your heart. Perhaps you can feel pulsing in your hands. And so as you begin to get present to the life in your body, just allow your breath to follow my words. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out. I'm aware that I'm breathing out. Breathing in, I notice my in-breath grows deeper. Breathing out, I notice my out-breath is slower. Breathing in, I relax. Breathing out, I feel at ease. Breathing in, I feel peace. Breathing out, I am comforted. Breathing in, I feel the Christ presence. Breathing out, I know my life is divine. Breathing in, my heart is open to love. Breathing out, I share love with the world. Breathing in, I feel alive. Breathing out, I smile. Breathing in, I dwell in the present moment. Breathing out, I know it as a wonderful moment. And now continue to breathe slowly and consciously to the words and the music of Karen Drucker.
In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. safe and all is well. In this and every moment, I am safe and all is well. I am safe and all is well. I am safe and all is well.
Thank you, Cybie. Now it is time for our mission statement. Unity of Syracuse inspires, awakens, and transforms lives through unlimited love, prayer, and service. Now is the time in our service when we would pass the basket to receive the tithes, gifts, and love offerings. We invite you to give through our donate button on the website or to mail your gift to Unity of Syracuse, 300 West Seneca Turnpike, Syracuse, New York, 13207. You may wish instead to sign up for regular electronic giving via our website. The strength and substance of our church is what we offer one another, including our time, our talent, and our treasure. Let us pray together. Divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. You are my source. We bless this abundant supply given to further the work of our ministry. We give in love and are blessed by Spirit's constant outpouring of good. We live in an abundant world. Thank you, God. And now for the blessing of our children. While we are in this remote-only service mode, our youth and family ministry is meeting via Zoom at 10 a.m. before service stream. If you would like to involve your child with our thriving and edifying visual Sunday school, please contact the office. Our email address is listed in the description box. Now we can call to mind the young people in our lives, those descendants with whom we grow together across the years. We bless our children wherever they are, and we see them surrounded by love and light throughout the week. We have a thriving and edifying youth and family ministry. Thank you to our YFM families, teachers, and directors. And thanks to all of you for being part of service today via live stream, love stream, and all those working behind the scenes that make this possible. Let us go forth with this benediction, our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. We are the light. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love. The power of God protects us. We are the power. The presence of God watches over us. We are the presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Have a wonderful week. Namaste.